makes deep look. There are 3 story producers, and each one of those story producers also has another sort of more technical job on the team. So I produce 1 out of 3 episodes, and I shoot most, if not, 90%, 95% of the episodes. The really hard part is taking an interesting subject, like why do cat's eyes shine at night, or why does shark skin feel like sandpaper or something like that, and then turning that into a story that has like a beginning, middle, and end, as opposed to just a subject, and not having it just be an encyclopedia entry. That's a big challenging part. Well, since you film with wildlife, you're never really sure if what you are hoping to get is going to happen. Sometimes you can have shoots that are more or less likely to work out in your favor. But sometimes it's you go out and you get skunked. You get skunked multiple times in a row, then all of a sudden your schedule is in jeopardy. So we sort of mix it up with some episodes that are more challenging and some that are less challenging in that regard. We use the Adobe suite, mostly Adobe Premiere, and then also Adobe After Effects. Occasionally, we'll have animations, like 3D animations done by Tetris, and he has other software for that I actually don't know. But in the field, we use Canon EF lenses, like L-series lenses, with adapters onto 3 different cameras, depending on which shoot it is. Each sort of camera has a drawback and a benefit. There's the Panasonic GH4, which is inexpensive, rugged, small, easy to use, looks pretty, shoots 4K in 30p, which is what we do on the show, ultra high def UHD. Then we have Sony FS700, when we want to shoot high frame rate. That's sort of retrofitted with the recorder, the Odyssey 7Q Plus recorder. We have the Sony A7S2, which is like a full frame, very good at low light, mirrorless camera. And all of these have adapters so that they can take the same lenses. The important thing with the show is not the camera, but the lenses. In particular, the Canon 100mm f2.8L. That's sort of the lens that makes the show pretty. Somewhat telephoto macro lens. And then I also use another lens called the MPE65, which is basically like a microscope that goes on the front of the camera. It doesn't have a focus ring. You have to move the camera to focus. But that's how you get like a bee's eye, as opposed to that 100 macro lens where you get like a bee. Majority of it is shot in a tank. Set up an aquarium, use substrate from the environment, so rocks, kelp, things like that. Or if it's a terrarium, I'll bring dirt, dead, branches, live plants, things like that, and then typically have a background printed out behind that, and then sort of use the lighting and the shallow depth of field of the camera to blur out the background. That way I'm able to get as close as possible to these creatures, because what I'm doing there is macro videography, and for macro you need to typically get as close as you can. So there's challenges with shooting through a tank. Tanks can be, if the glass is thick, you can't shoot diagonally through it, you can only shoot straight through, otherwise you won't be able to focus. And of course the tank is made out of whatever the cheapest glass was, whereas the glass of the camera is made out of a really nice optical elements glass, so you're immediately losing a lot of resolution by shooting through the glass. And then I also have a housing for the camera in actual water. First, be really sure that you want to do it, and don't do it because you're not sure what to do, because there's other jobs that are easier. I say film what you know, or film what you love, depending on what you feel about stuff. But I got started, I was doing wildlife biology, and decided I wanted to do film. I just got a crappy camera and went out to the tide pools and shot everything I could find. For about a year, I didn't have work, and when there was a low tide during daylight hours, then eventually that turned into my first film. And the tide pools is just something I used to like to do as a kid. I figured it would be a good way to practice shooting animals that couldn't really run away too fast. Be the hardest working person on set, get there early. If you get there on time, then you're late. I personally prefer to own equipment, but the important thing is just to like go out and do it and fail quickly, get better, and don't worry so much about each project because you got another one coming down the line. So just like learn your lessons and try not to do it on the next one, but don't obsess about any one particular. You know, it's really easy to obsess about that one project to the point where you never finish it, and because you don't want it to be anything that's best. We see the enemy, the better is the enemy of the